Willow Creek do HOA quản lý.
Bạn đã đọc hết hồ sơ chưa?
Chúng tôi có 85% phiếu.
Tôi chưa từng được bỏ phiếu.
The morning sun cast a golden glow over Willow Creek, a serene lake nestled in the rolling hills of Maplewood County, Tennessee. I stood on the weathered dock of my family's ancestral property, the water lapping gently against the posts, when a convoy of SUVs rolled up, kicking up dust along the dirt road. Out stepped Linda Marshall, her auburn hair catching the breeze, flanked by a posse of homeowners association members clutching clipboards and neon orange signs that screamed, "Restricted Area." Her voice cut through the quiet like a siren. "Mr. Thompson, you need to vacate this property immediately. This lake is under Pine Grove HOA management." I leaned against the dock railing, letting her words hang in the air. Behind her, HOA members snapped photos and scribbled notes, their faces smug with the certainty of victory. Linda waved a stack of papers, claiming they were launching a community revitalization project to turn Willow Creek into a luxury marina. What they didn't know what I was waiting to reveal was that every inch of this lake, every blade of grass they stood on, belonged to me. And I had the documents to prove it. The mist clung to the water like a protective shroud, and a pair of blue herons glided overhead, oblivious to the drama unfolding below. Linda's voice grew sharper, her tone a blend of condescension and authority. "This lake poses a health hazard, Mr. Thompson. Your refusal to comply is reckless and, frankly, illegal." A fish broke the surface, as if mocking her claims of contamination. I let the silence stretch, watching her confidence flicker like a candle in the wind. Then I asked, "Are you sure you've reviewed all the relevant paperwork, Mrs. Marshall?" Her eyes narrowed, but she recovered quickly. "We have everything we need," she snapped, citing an 85% community vote for her project. The number struck me as odd. I'd never received a ballot, never been invited to a meeting, never even heard of this vote. My phone buzzed me, "Sister, Emily," calling again, but I ignored it. Whatever she wanted could wait until I unraveled this farce. I turned my gaze to the old boathouse at the lake's edge, where my father's research files had sat untouched for years. Those files held the key to dismantling Linda's scheme. "I appreciate your concern for the community," I said, my voice calm but firm. "But there may be some documents you haven't seen." Linda's smile faltered, and her posse exchanged uneasy glances. I walked toward the boathouse, leaving them in their self-assured formation, their whispers growing frantic as Linda barked, "You can't just walk away, Mr. Thompson." True authority, I thought, isn't shouted from clipboards. It's built on truth and law, something I suspected Linda had overlooked in her rush to claim my land. Over the next few days, Linda unleashed a campaign that felt like a siege. She flooded the Pine Grove community's social media with warnings about toxic algae in Willow Creek, deleting years of serene sunset photos posted by neighbors. Flyers appeared in mailboxes, featuring grim images of polluted rivers, nothing like my crystal-clear lake warning of imminent health risks. The speed and ruthlessness of her tactics were impressive, if chilling. She knew how to weaponize fear, turning neighbors against me overnight. At Miller's Hardware, where I'd shopped for decades, the clerk avoided my gaze, muttering about new policies barring service to those under investigation. Friends I'd known since childhood crossed the street to avoid me. Even the mail carrier left my letters at the mailbox, as if stepping onto my property might taint him. The isolation was suffocating, but it only fueled my resolve. Then came the financial blow. First Valley Bank called, claiming my mortgage was under review due to environmental concerns and declining property values. The timing was too perfect. My payments were current, and county records showed my land's value had risen. Someone had pulled strings, and I had a good guess who. Linda's boldest move targeted Old Man Jenkins, an 80-year-old retired librarian who'd fished Willow Creek daily for 40 years. When she banned him, citing safety violations, it wasn't just about one man. It was a warning: side with me, and you're next. The ripple effect was immediate. Jenkins' fishing buddies, a tight-knit group of retirees, stopped gathering at the lake, their morning coffee ritual shattered. I caught them at the hardware store, their conversation halting when I appeared, their eyes heavy with guilt and confusion. I spent that week buried in research. At the county records office, I pored over boundary maps with Clara, a clerk who'd worked there since the Nixon era. The HOA's claim to Willow Creek was a fantasy, contradicted by clear records showing my family's ownership since 1952. Clara shook her head, muttering, "This doesn't add up." A deeper dig revealed Marshall Properties LLC, a company tied to Linda, holding a 28% stake in Crestview Ventures, a firm pushing marina developments across the South. Her signature on the incorporation papers was unmistakable. This wasn't about community welfare, it was a land grab for profit. My evenings were spent studying environmental law. Federal protections for waterways like Willow Creek, home to the endangered Tennessee darter, trumped local HOA authority. Linda's plan hinged on my ignorance, but she'd miscalculated. The turning point came when I forced myself to enter the boathouse, a place I'd avoided since Dad's death a decade ago. Under dusty tarps, I found his research archives, journals, water quality reports, and a 1952 deed proving we owned 78% of the lake. More crucially, a federal research permit, renewed through 2030, designated Willow Creek as protected habitat. Linda's project was dead in the water, she just didn't know it yet. I called Linda that afternoon, my tone steady. "We need to discuss property boundaries and federal designations, Mrs. Marshall." Her pause was telling, her voice cracking as she demanded to know what I meant. "You'll find the documents enlightening," I said, mentioning Crestview Ventures. Her sharp gasp confirmed my suspicions. That night, Emily called again, her voice electric. "I'm coming home, Tom. This smells like a story: HOA corruption, environmental fraud. I'm bringing my camera crew." At 3 a.m., I woke to the hum of machinery. From my window, I saw flashlights dancing across the lake. By dawn, a greasy film covered a third of Willow Creek, a staged oil spill designed to justify Linda's remediation project. The audacity was staggering. She was manufacturing the disaster she'd fabricated. I called Dr. Laura Bennett, a biologist from Dad's old research network, who arrived with testing equipment. Her analysis confirmed the contamination was synthetic, a polymer meant to mimic oil. More importantly, her underwater cameras spotted Tennessee darter nests, a discovery that would make development impossible. The next day, Deputy Sheriff Carter arrived with an emergency environmental order signed by County Commissioner Paul Reynolds. The document was a forgery, lacking federal case numbers and citing non-existent statutes. I pointed this out, and Carter, visibly uneasy, backed off, saying, "Take it up with the commissioner." A quick search of campaign records showed Reynolds owed his election to Linda's fundraising. He'd signed her fake order without question. I contacted the EPA's criminal division, speaking with Agent Rachel Torres, who was floored by the evidence: fake contamination, forged documents, and Linda's ties to Crestview. "This could be multiple federal crimes," she said, dispatching a team. Emily arrived that evening, her journalist instincts in overdrive. "This is bigger than your lake, Tom. It's about corruption and greed. We're going national with this." The HOA's emergency meeting was Linda's grand stage. Over 250 residents packed the Maplewood Community Center, buzzing with anticipation. Linda's presentation was a masterpiece of deception: sleek renderings of a marina resort, promises of skyrocketing property values, and cherry-picked testimonials. The crowd ate it up, cheering her vision of progress. She stood at the podium, declaring, "Tonight, we move forward with a project that will transform our community." That's when I walked in, flanked by Agent Torres, Deputy Carter with real federal warrants, and Dr. Bennett with her testing gear. The room fell silent. Torres stepped forward, her badge gleaming. "Mrs. Marshall, we have warrants for evidence of environmental crimes and fraud." I held up the 1952 deed, its seals glinting under the lights. "I own 78% of Willow Creek," I said, "and it's federally protected habitat. Your project is illegal." Linda's composure cracked. She stammered about technicalities, but the crowd's mood shifted as Dr. Bennett explained the fake contamination. Then, HOA Secretary Margaret Evans stood, her voice trembling. "Linda offered board members 12% commissions for approving this project. It's not a marinades, a gambling resort." The room erupted, residents shouting questions, their trust in Linda shattered. Emily's Channel 9 broadcast that night turned the story into a regional scandal. Her drone footage of Linda's midnight oil spill operation was damning, showing workers dumping polymers into the lake. She exposed Crestview Ventures as a front for a casino syndicate, with Linda at the heart of a web of shell companies and political bribes. The FBI's Environmental Crime Unit descended, uncovering a Midwest-wide network of similar schemes. Agent Sarah Coleman called it a sophisticated criminal enterprise targeting protected lands for profit. Linda's arrest was cinematic. As she tried to salvage her presentation, federal agents entered, cuffs in hand. Her desperate sprint to the parking lot, captured on live TV, became a viral symbol of justice served. She faced charges of racketeering, environmental fraud, and conspiracy, landing a 7-year sentence and $1 million in fines. Judge Evelyn Carter's ruling, dubbed the Thompson Doctrine, set a precedent protecting private property and habitats from local corruption. Commissioner Reynolds, exposed for signing fake orders, took a plea deal, serving 2 years and exposing a decade of countywide corruption. Crestview Ventures collapsed, its assets seized to fund lake remediation. The HOA was overhauled, with new bylaws limiting its power and requiring transparency. The Thompson Research Center rose from the ashes, offering environmental education and ecotourism that boosted Maplewood's economy far beyond Linda's casino dreams. Emily's reporting won a Pulitzer, her book Deeds Over Greed inspiring nationwide property rights movements. The Thompson Act, passed by Congress, tightened oversight of HOAs and local officials, safeguarding habitats. Standing on my dock months later, watching kids learn about Tennessee darters, I thought of Dad's journals. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing, I told a curious student, but truth and law always win if you fight for them.